Imagine receiving an email that changes everything. The subject line simply says, urgent, timeline revision required. As a project manager, you know that feeling. In this case, the executive team had just learned our main competitor was launching a similar product 6 weeks earlier than planned. Our carefully built 18-week development schedule now had to be completed in just 12 weeks to stay competitive. My first instinct was a common one. I started calculating how much overtime the team could work, who could come in on weekends, and if we could hire more contractors to speed things up. But as I looked at our project plan, trying to force 18 weeks of work into 12, I realized this old approach would likely lead to burnout, lower quality, and ultimately, project failure. So, I decided to try something different. I called an emergency team meeting, but with a new question. Instead of asking, how can we work faster? I asked, how can we work differently? This simple shift started a conversation that changed how I manage project schedules forever. It taught me that the best solutions to tight deadlines often come from redesigning our processes, not just working harder. Traditional methods for shortening a schedule usually focus on cutting task time by adding more people or asking for longer hours. If a task takes 2 weeks, you try to do it in 1. This can work for short periods, but it often creates more problems. The core issue is that these methods assume our work processes are already perfect. They assume that to save time, we must accept lower quality, higher costs, or an exhausted team. Our impossible deadline made us challenge that. We started to ask if our own ways of working were actually wasting time. When we looked honestly at how our team spent time on past projects, we found several hidden time wasters. First, we had tasks scheduled in a sequence simply because that was how we always did them, not because they needed to be done in that order. For example, database design was waiting for interface design to finish, even though they could have been developed at the same time. Second, communication was taking too much time. Our weekly 2-hour status meetings, daily emails, and other chats were eating up about 15 hours per team member every week. Much of this was just sharing information, not making decisions. Third, our quality checks had multiple approval stages designed for problems that almost never happened. These reviews often delayed work without making it better. Fourth, decisions were slow. They got stuck waiting for unclear authority, missing information, or for the right people to meet. Finally, unclear requirements meant we sometimes built things that had to be changed or thrown away later, when stakeholders clarified what they really wanted. The emergency meeting I called was not a typical crisis session. We did not jump to solutions. First, we spent an hour honestly looking at how we worked and finding chances to improve our core processes. Our senior developer, Maria, had a key insight. She said, instead of trying to do the same work faster, what if we figured out what work actually needs to be done? She noticed our project scope had many nice-to-have features that were not essential for our main business goals. This led us to review every planned item and sort them into 3 groups: essential for core success, valuable for user experience but not required for launch, and optional for future versions. We found about 30% of our work was valuable or optional. Cutting these items did not need difficult negotiations with stakeholders. It just needed us to clearly explain the choice between scope and timeline. With a clearer scope, we looked for ways to redesign our processes to save time without pushing the team too hard. We moved from functional teams, like separate design and development groups, to cross-functional teams that could work on complete features together at the same time. We replaced our long weekly meetings with daily 10-minute syncs focused only on coordination needs. We used shared dashboards for status updates. We built quality into our daily work with practices like pair programming and automated testing, instead of having separate testing phases at the end. We created decision days twice a week to resolve all pending decisions within 24 hours. And we set up continuous stakeholder feedback through shared prototypes and quick check-ins instead of formal review cycles. Putting this new plan into action meant big changes in how the team worked together. We formed 3 cross-functional pods. Each pod had a designer, 2 developers, and shared support from product management and quality assurance. Each pod was responsible for complete features, which reduced coordination time and increased accountability. Team members shared knowledge in brief daily meetings between pods. Quality checks happened every day within each pod. We also redesigned our communication. Daily 10-minute sync meetings focused only on what each pod needed from others and what was blocking progress. We used real-time dashboards so everyone could see status without extra meetings. Updates were shared in team channels for people to read when convenient. All decisions were documented immediately in a shared system. Stakeholder communication became regular, brief check-ins for feedback. The results exceeded all expectations. We finished the project in 11 weeks, 1 week ahead of the compressed 12-week deadline. More importantly, the quality was higher than in our past 18-week projects. We had 40% fewer defects after launch. User satisfaction scores were higher than ever. The code was clean and well-tested, making future updates easier. The team reported higher satisfaction and lower stress. Stakeholders had more confidence because of the continuous visibility and feedback. The process improvements we made under pressure became permanent. The pod-based team structure became our standard for all projects. Our streamlined communication reduced overhead and improved focus. Building quality into daily work became normal practice. The decision day method was adopted across the organization. And categorizing scope into essential, valuable, and optional became a standard step when starting any project. This experience led us to develop advanced schedule management techniques. We started prioritizing tasks based on delivering business value early, even if it required more coordination. We scheduled work to get stakeholder feedback when it was most useful. We tackled high-risk activities early to have time for backup plans. We organized work to maximize learning for later decisions. And we considered external market timing, not just internal efficiency. We also learned to adapt schedules dynamically. We reviewed schedule health weekly, reallocated resources flexibly, had clear rules for adjusting scope, developed backup paths for critical steps, and continuously looked for ways to improve efficiency based on what the team learned. Technology played a key role. We used tools for automated progress tracking and predictive analytics to spot delays early. Systems helped optimize how we used our people across tasks and managed dependencies. We used collaborative platforms for real-time schedule planning, integrated schedule info into team communication tools, gave stakeholders clear dashboards, and used systems to support fast decision-making and capture lessons learned. Building this capability across the organization required developing the right culture and skills. We encouraged people to question existing processes and try new approaches. We shared innovations and lessons learned between projects. We balanced efficiency with effectiveness, understanding that sustainable improvements come from better process design, not just more effort. We treated stakeholders as partners. We trained project managers and teams in systems thinking, efficient communication, how to build quality into processes, how to engage stakeholders effectively, and how to use technology to support good decisions. In the long term, what started as a crisis became a catalyst for transformation. We built a sustainable advantage. The organization got better at finding and implementing process improvements. We learned how to structure teams for both efficiency and well-being. Our stakeholder relationships improved, reducing coordination time. Integrating quality into work processes created better outcomes without schedule penalties. And we became more responsive to market changes without sacrificing quality or team health. Most importantly, we learned to approach problems by questioning basic assumptions, not just optimizing the old way. We got better at collaboration and communication. We learned how to handle deadline pressure without unsustainable practices, and we discovered that pressure can spark innovation when met with the right mindset. The impossible deadline taught us that schedule management excellence does not come from heroic effort. It comes from intelligent process design that aligns how people work with business goals. That meeting revealed most schedule problems are actually process problems in disguise. By facing our timeline challenge with curiosity instead of panic, we found improvements that helped not just that project, but every project after it. Effective schedule management turns project managers from timeline administrators into leaders of process innovation, helping their organizations find better ways to create value for everyone involved.